this guy named Tucker Carlson, which I don't know if you know who he is or not. He's kind of a big deal.
A little bit about him.
Yeah, and he's a guy that is another one of those guys, part of the community that people like him a lot. And he's also a guy that knows how to get under people's skin, okay? Whether he does it intentionally or not, he kind of knows how to piss people off. He's on the show with this other guy that you like a lot and you're friends with. His name is Joe Rogan, Joseph Rogan. So they're on this podcast, they're talking. And Rob, if you can pull up this clip, there's this topic that comes up about
China has not fought a war since 1979. They have an army that's not fought a war. The American military has a lot of experience fighting wars. I'm not saying this is a good thing. The United States is like a cocked pistol, right? Chinese military, they haven't fought a war in a long time, and they would have to launch an amphibious operation, which is one of the most difficult military operations possible.
Right.
On top of that, the Americans are going to defend Taiwan. Joe Biden has said this 4 separate times. We are going to defend Taiwan. The Chinese elites I've talked to over time, they know full well we are going to defend Taiwan. The Japanese are going to defend Taiwan with us. The Australians are going to defend Taiwan with us. So if the Chinese launch an amphibious operation to try to capture Taiwan, they're going to do that in the face of American, Japanese, and Australian resistance.
Yes, welcome back. Recently, Tucker Carlson did a segment with Joe Rogan, and it appears of a lot of people. Ben Shapiro was not satisfied with that video. He did the replied video pertaining to it. I don't know if you have seen this. Patrick Pet David reacted to it with Tulsi Gabbard, where they said a lot of things pertaining to Tucker Carlson. Tulsi Gabbard came in, explained, and defended Tucker Carlson on that segment. I don't know if you have seen the full video. It is important I show you what is going on. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please endeavor to do that. It will do you no harm if you share out this video. I've seen a lot of people saying that Ben Shapiro is fierce off because Tucker Carlson is in good relation with Candace Owens, and his viewership is going down because of what is going on with Israel and Palestine. I don't want to elaborate on that. I'll go straight and play the video so you can see exactly what I'm talking about.
You could say the same about the atomic bomb, right?
Yes, you could.
And you could say that we have to develop it like Oppenheimer felt before the Nazis did.
I love that. How'd that work? People on my side, right, have spent the last 80 years defending dropping nuclear weapons on civilians. Like, are you joking?
Right.
That's just like prima facie evil.
Pull up the tweet of Jeremy Boring. With Jeremy Boring, the co-founder, founder of Daily Wire, he had the following to say about it. He says, people who deny the moon landing or suggest America's evil for the use of atomic weapons against Imperial Japan, or who say that George Bush was behind 9/11 actually hate this country.
Maybe I am stupid for asking this. Who is Jeremy Boring?
You being serious?
I'm being serious.
Okay. He is the CEO of Daily Wire.
Okay.
Like Ben Shapiro,
Okay.
Daily Wire.
Yeah.
That's who he is. So,
Best friends with Candace, if you haven't.
so
I've never met him. I don't know.
by the way, he's actually a very smart guy. We've had him on the podcast, but there's a civil war going on a little bit right now where Tucker, Ben Shapiro is obviously a very different position.
Yeah.
What's your position when it comes down to the nuclear war?
I like your response here, by the way.
What's the response? Are you showing that one? Okay. Jeremy is in the entire premise of being a critical thinker to question things. Some of the best podcasters and influencers are those who question what no one else is questioning. Being anti-establishment is to question the establishment's motive. By the way, he responds to that. Rob, if you want to put the other one, then he puts, it is not critical thinking to say that America never landed on the moon or that George Bush orchestrated the 9/11 attacks. It is a rejection of critical thinking. And then I had one last response to him, which was kind of an interesting one. You want to play this one, Rob? I understand your point. However, I'm not a Christian because I broke bread with Jesus. I've never met him face to face. That requires a level of faith I'm willing to risk taking. But it also takes faith to believe that we landed on the moon or someone's involvement in the 9/11 attacks. Having that level of unwavering faith in the U.S. government is what I'm not willing to risk. History does not favor blind faith in any government. That was my position.
Beautiful.
Great response.
Beautiful.
Where do you stand with this?
You know, I think of, one of the famous speeches that President John F. Kennedy made when he talked about his own experience of being confronted with the possibility of a nuclear war being launched, and how he exercised the kind of leadership we should have in our country, where even as people in his own cabinet were encouraging him to take military action that he knew could spark a nuclear war with the Soviet Union, he instead chose to go behind their backs and conduct direct negotiations with the Soviet Union to walk back from the brink, because those two leaders recognized what Tucker was pointing out, that nuclear war leads to one place: the end of civilization, the destruction of living things, people, humanity on this planet. That is where nuclear war leads. And so, while and Tucker Carlson is a good friend, we've had a lot of amazing conversations. I may say things a little differently, but what he's talking about here really is how too many people celebrate the use of nuclear weapons, and so carelessly, both pundits on TV and people in Washington and those who make a lot of money from making these nuclear weapons very carelessly talk about a nuclear war being waged as though it can be won.
Yes, I don't know why Ben Shapiro was so pissed off about this. It is normal for people to have a conversation. People should express themselves, ask questions, but it offends him that Tucker Carlson is asking questions. I don't get it. Sometimes when you say you are for free speech, when you see the real free speech, like people standing up for it or saying things you dislike, that is where we know who you are. If you are able to withstand, real conversations with people you disagree with, we call you like you have free speech absolute. Ben Shapiro recently has proven that he is actually not for that. We saw what happened with Candace Wentz. He was fired because of a common reason. And Tucker Carlson going back and forth with Ben Shapiro is simply because of what is going on, a similar reason. At this point, I want you to know your take. Is it right for Ben Shapiro to be doing all this? Patrick David here was standing as a moderator, though we clearly saw that he is going off on Ben Shapiro in support of Tucker Carlson. I've seen Ben Shapiro actually in disagreement with Patrick David in different occasions, because of this war. It should not be like this. Because your country is having a problem with another country, people calling out your country, you should be able to reason with every person. It does not mean because you say this person is doing this is a bad decision to do that, the person hates people in that country. Yeah. Ben Shapiro spent his time calling out a lot of things, but at a certain point now people want to call out what is happening. He gets offended easily. Why? If you ask me the reason why Candace Owens was fired on the Daily Wire, it is just like this. We all know that. Simply because he could not resist. And there was a certain time they even called for a debate. I don't know who actually turned that down.
The atomic bomb, right?
Yes, you could.
And you could say that we have to develop it like Oppenheimer felt before the Nazis did.
I love that. How'd that work? How'd that work?
Well,
I love, by the way, that people on my side, I'll just admit it, on the right,